Logos features a number of ways to look at a text on many different levels. In many of these features, we can see how other scholars have organized the text on the sentence and discourse levels. Today we will look at how to do this with the Bible word study, examine semantic roles, and look at how the Bible Outline Browser can help us in studying the text. We will begin by using the same right-click from the last video, and we will continue using Lemma. So I will right-click on the word pray, and I will make sure Lemma is selected. And then we're going to click on Bible Word Study. It's over here. And you'll see right away there's some cool color graphs that show up, and there's other tools, kind of like how the passage guide had them. By the way, under guides, that passage guide from last time can always be found under passage guides, the same way this Bible word study will be available under here. I'm going to drag it over so we can see it a little bit bigger. And then I'm also going to make it not all passages. In our last chapter, we made the 01 NT Matthew. And so if I click on all passages and find that and click on it, now we're just working in Matthew. Now you'll notice the color graph that had red before no longer does. That's because in Matthew, the translation in the ESV all goes in one way if you're just looking in Matthew. And so since we're just looking at Matthew, that means there's no variance in how Matthew translates this proseuchomai, or pray. There's a number of options here. Under Lemma, you can see you can actually click on that to hear what it sounds like. You can look at the different lexicons you have. If you scroll down, you can see the Bible sense. You can see different options, different way it's used. There's a lot of advanced things here that are really cool, but today we're going to look at clause participants. I'm going to click on clause participants and it'll open up. You'll see it'll take a second to open. If you don't see it, click on add, and then clause participants won't be grayed out. It'll be black, and if you click, it'll open. Oops. So when we look at these are called, there's two options. There's, under clause participants, there's grammatical roles and there's semantic roles. Grammatical roles is like object, subject, you got indirect object in relation to. That's one way that we can structure it. The way that we're going to do it is the semantic roles. Semantic roles is a type of tagging that Logos has added, that a couple scholars came up with, that give a more descriptive way of how the language interacts. And so we see with agent, with experiencer, with content. So content of pray, if I scroll over, it says the content of a speech act or a mental activity. And if I then click here, I can see they've got different things highlighted. So he prayed, and then you see this little, it's a little yellow there. It's saying the content is over here. And so the content of prayed in this instance is, my Father, if this cannot pass unless I drink it, your will be done. And so it's a more advanced way of thinking on the clause participant level. And so you can also see we've got with agent, Jesus, and if we scroll over, we see that an agent is the person or thing that instigates an action or causes change in another person or thing. It's also great, all of these, they have an example. David, agent, struck Goliath, or David, agent, killed Goliath. And so if we look down, now we'll see the different times where Jesus was the agent praying. So with this, we can start to look and see, as we're going, we can start to see, if I click here, we see that in Matthew, so these are all from the Sermon on the Mount. When Jesus is telling them how to, or first he says, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you, and then he tells them how to pray, and he gives a lot of details on that in Matthew 6. We'll see that all of that was directed at the disciples. So in that instance, it was there. If we saw, or if we look down, we might see a more specific Peter, watch and pray that you may not enter into temptation. So if we compared these are not directly comparable because one is just to Peter, one is to all the disciples. And so this helps us to think and helps us to see it very quickly. When we're in just this search, in a lot of these, you don't really know who the agent is. You don't know who's talking. I mean, you can guess it's probably Jesus on a lot of these, but you're not quite sure. A lot of these, there's just pronouns. So it's a useful thing on that. It's also very useful to see who's doing what, see how it's tagged. The last thing that we're going to look at in this chapter is we're going to look at a tool called the Bible Outline Browser. So in one of the early chapters, we showed you how to look at commentaries and see how they outline them. That's very useful, especially since not all commentaries are in the Bible Outline Browser. But right now we're going to show you a really quick way Logos has for you to see how scholars have outlined a book of the Bible. And so I'm going to click on Tools. And then under Interactive Media, which is to the far right, I want to click on All Interactive Resources. Now a new library window will pop up, and then under that, there's Bible Outline Browser. It'll take it a minute to load. And last time I was in it, I was in Proverbs, so it's giving me those. But if I click on the text bar for reference and type in Matthew and hit enter, moving a little slow today. Here we go. We're there. Now I can see. So I've got first. It's in alphabetical order. The Believers Church Bible Commentary. This is how I have that resource, and so this is how they've spaced out Matthew, the segmentation that they see. And so all of you should have the NAC. So if I click on that, now I can see they see 3 major segmentations. But if I click on these, I can also see, if I click even further, we can see that they have even more than that. And so I can click down. I also, if you click everything down and you want to quickly bring it up, if you right-click on one of the arrows. Oh, it's not working in there. But usually in Logos, if you right-click, it might be my machine's moving slow, but if you right-click, you can collapse all. The other thing you can do with this is you can compare. So you can see this is more of the pericope set, but it's with commentaries, and so it gives you some different ideas on how things are broken up. And you can see there's a lot of divisions there. So with these tools, we can, with the semantic roles, we can see how others have segmented different clauses. We can also see how others have segmented different books with the Bible Outline tool, or Bible Outline Browser. Using these resources can help us as we try and deductively examine the text and help us to stand on the shoulders of those who have devoted their lives to the scholarly pursuit of the text.